It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hello, my fellow queens. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices. I'm Kelly Hint, your host, psychotherapist, feminist life coach, and the queen bee of this particular hive. And today we're talking about something that can feel incredibly personal, incredibly emotional, and frankly, incredibly fucking unfair. Women's hair loss. And yes, this is going to be an episode where I am myself. I'm taking the filter off and you are going to get the raw me. Because you know what? This is something that affects me personally also, and sometimes I get fired up. So, if you have never experienced hair loss, you might hear that topic and think, okay, hair. It grows back. Why is this such a big deal? Oh, my friend. If you've experienced it, you already know. Because hair isn't just hair. For many women, our hair becomes connected to our identity, femininity, sexuality, attractiveness, age, cultural identity, confidence, and the way we believe other people see us. And when that hair starts disappearing, it can feel like we're losing a piece of ourselves. And today I want to talk about why. Not because women should be taught to care so much about their appearance. Quite the opposite, as a matter of fact. I want us to understand why hair loss can be emotionally devastating without shaming women for caring about it. Because here's the thing. You can be a feminist. You can believe women are infinitely more valuable than their appearance. You can reject impossible beauty standards. And you can still be really fucking upset when your hair starts falling out. Those things are not contradictory. So grab your coffee, your tea, a nice comfy blanket, whatever keeps you going, and let's get into it. Let's start with something important. Hair carries meaning. Humans have been using hair to communicate identity, status, culture, religion, sexuality, gender, age, rebellion, conformity, and social belonging for thousands of years. Think about how much information a hairstyle can communicate. Long hair, short hair, gray hair, braids, locks, natural curls, a pixie cut, a shaved head, a ponytail, a particular color, a particular style. Hair can be deeply connected to who we believe that we are. And women have been especially conditioned to view hair as a component of femininity. From childhood, girls receive messages about what beautiful hair looks like. We're taught how to style it, how to tame it, how to straighten it, how to curl it, how to color it, how to hide gray, how to make it look thicker, how to make it shinier, how to make it manageable. And we're constantly bombarded with images of women with thick, shiny, youthful-looking hair. So when a woman starts losing her hair, she's not simply losing strands. She may feel like she's losing something that society has repeatedly told her is part of what makes her feminine and attractive. And that's where the psychological impact comes in. Let's break this down and talk about why women's hair loss can feel so incredibly devastating. First, hair is connected to identity. Imagine looking in the mirror and not recognizing yourself. That's one of the experiences that many women describe when their hair changes dramatically. You might still have the same face, same eyes, same smile, same personality, same badass brain, but something about your reflection feels unfamiliar. And psychologically, that matters. Our appearance contributes to something called body image, the way we perceive and experience our physical selves. When our appearance changes unexpectedly, we may have to psychologically adjust to a new version of ourselves. And that adjustment isn't always easy. And also, Hair loss can trigger grief. Here's something I really want women to hear. You are allowed to grieve your hair. You don't have to minimize it. You don't have to say, well, at least I'm healthy, or at least I'm getting chemo and working on my health, or other people have bigger problems, or it's stupid to care about hair. Those statements may be technically true in some circumstances, but they don't erase your emotional experience. If something matters to you and you lose it, grief can happen. Hair loss can involve grief over the way you used to look, the hairstyles you loved, the identity you associated with your hair, feeling youthful, feeling attractive, feeling feminine, feeling recognizable to yourself, and the expectation that your appearance would remain relatively stable. And sometimes the grief is not about the hair itself. It's about what the hair represented. Now, let's talk about something particularly loaded for women. Aging. Hair loss can become a very visible reminder that our bodies are changing. And women have been taught that aging is something we're supposed to fight. Society tells women, don't get wrinkles, don't gain weight, don't get gray, don't look tired, don't look old, don't let your boobs sag, don't let your skin change, don't let your hair thin. Basically, age, but don't fucking look like you've aged. And then we're somehow expected to feel naturally confident about ourselves. That's quite the psychological mindfuck, isn't it? Hair thinning can feel like another piece of evidence that our bodies are moving into a different stage of life, and some of us aren't really excited about that. Some of us don't mind so much, but others can be devastated by the aging process. For some women, particularly during perimenopause and menopause, changes in hair can become intertwined with other bodily changes. And suddenly, you're thinking, wait, is this what aging looks like? That realization can bring up fear. Fear of becoming invisible. Fear of becoming less desirable. Fear of being perceived as old. Fear of losing sexual attractiveness. Fear of becoming irrelevant. And let's be brutally honest, women are often treated differently as they age. So when a woman becomes distressed about hair loss, sometimes she's not just reacting to the hair. She's reacting to the social consequences she fears may come with looking older. Hair can also be tied to sexuality. Many women associate feeling attractive with having certain physical characteristics, and hair can absolutely be one of them. Maybe you've always felt sexy with long hair. Maybe your partner has always complimented your hair. Maybe you loved the way your hair looked when you went out on a date. Maybe you felt powerful walking into a room with your hair styled exactly the way you wanted. So when hair starts disappearing, you might wonder, am I still attractive? Will my partner still find me sexy? Will people look at me differently? And that can be painful. Here's where I want to separate two concepts. Your sexuality is yours, and your worth is yours. Your hair does not determine either one. But that doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to feel shaken when your appearance changes. We can challenge the belief without shaming the emotion. That's an important distinction. When I stood in the shower, crying my eyes out because I had the most huge clump of hair ever come out, it was a moment for me. But I didn't allow it to affect my self-worth. I let myself cry about it, and then I moved forward. There's another piece of this that I think doesn't get enough attention. Hair loss can change the way that women interact with mirrors. You may find yourself checking constantly, pulling your hair apart, looking at your part, taking pictures from different angles, checking the shower drain, looking at your hairbrush, examining your scalp under bright lights. comparing old photographs with new ones, and then checking again and again and again. That checking can become emotionally exhausting because every time you look, you're potentially searching for evidence that things are getting worse. And if you find it, anxiety increases. So you check again, which gives you another temporary sense of control, and then the anxiety returns. This can create a vicious cycle. Notice, worry, check, temporarily reassure yourself, worry again, check again, and so on. If you're doing this, I want you to approach yourself with compassion rather than judgment. Your brain is trying to reduce uncertainty. Unfortunately, repeated checking often keeps the anxiety alive. Now, let's get factual for a minute. Female pattern hair loss is the most common cause of hair loss in women. According to the American Academy of Dermatology, it affects millions of women, and current dermatology experts estimate that approximately 30 million women in the United States experience female pattern hair loss. Nearly 1 in 2 women may develop it by age 50. So if you're experiencing hair thinning, you are absolutely not alone. And here's another important fact. Hair loss in women can have many causes. Female pattern hair loss can be hereditary and is more common after menopause, suggesting hormonal factors may play a role. But hair loss can also occur after childbirth, major illness, surgery, significant stress, nutritional deficiencies, thyroid disease, hormonal changes, medications, autoimmune conditions, scalp disorders, and certain hairstyles that repeatedly pull on hair. In other words, don't automatically assume it's genetics. And don't automatically assume it's menopause. And don't automatically assume you're just stressed. Hair loss deserves an actual evaluation. And this is your official Queen Bee public service announcement. Please stop letting TikTok diagnose your scalp and everything else, for crying out loud. I love the internet. I love information, but hair loss is complicated. 2 women can experience similar looking thinning for completely different reasons, and treatment depends on the cause. The American Academy of Dermatology recommends seeing a dermatologist who can examine the scalp and hair and determine what is happening. Depending on the situation, evaluation may include blood tests or other testing to investigate possible deficiencies, hormonal problems, disease, or infection. So if you're losing hair, particularly if it's sudden, dramatic, patchy, accompanied by scalp inflammation or pain, or otherwise unusual for you, get evaluated. Not because you should panic, but because you deserve information. Now let's talk about the emotional trap of fixing yourself. And this is where I want to bring in my feminist life coach hat, because there's an entire industry ready to capitalize on your fear. Hair loss can become a fucking shopping spree. Supplements, shampoos, serums, oils, devices, hair fibers, extensions, wigs, scalp treatments, miracle vitamins, before and after photographs, and some of these things may be useful. But the problem occurs when companies convince you that your problem isn't hair loss. Your problem is that you're not doing enough to prevent it. Now you're buying $200 worth of products because you're terrified. And if it doesn't work, you blame yourself. Maybe I didn't use it correctly. Maybe I wasn't consistent enough. Maybe I need the more expensive version. No. Sometimes biology is just biology. Sometimes medical conditions are medical conditions. Sometimes treatments work, sometimes they don't. And none of those outcomes determine your worth. Okay, queens, let's get practical. Because empowerment isn't just saying love yourself, and then sending you home with an inspirational quote. We need tools. So, first, get a proper diagnosis. If you're experiencing persistent or significant hair loss, make an appointment with a dermatologist. Find out what's happening before spending a fortune on products. Different causes require different approaches. Next, do not start random supplements. This is a big one. The American Academy of Dermatology notes that supplements such as biotin, iron, and zinc should generally be used when testing shows a deficiency. Taking excessive amounts of certain nutrients can actually cause harm. So don't assume that hair loss equals biotin supplements. That's marketing, not necessarily medicine. Next, look at the timeline. Start documenting when you notice the change. Ask yourself, when did the shedding begin? Was there an illness beforehand? Major stress, surgery, weight loss, childbirth, medication changes, hormonal changes, a change in birth control, new hairstyles, chemical treatments, a significant nutritional change. This information can help your clinician determine what may be happening. Next, take photographs, but do not obsess. Take consistent photos of your hair part and hairline every few months if you are monitoring changes. Notice I said every few months. Don't do it every day. Same lighting, same angle, same hairstyle. Then put the damn phone away. You do not need to inspect your scalp 47 times a day. And I say this as someone who struggled with that myself. Next, please stop using shame as motivation. If you are embarrassed about your hair loss, that is something to explore, not something to beat yourself up over. Try replacing "I look terrible" with "My appearance has changed, and I'm adjusting to that change." That sentence is much more psychologically accurate and much kinder. Next, challenge the beauty standard. Ask yourself, who taught me that a woman needs thick hair to be beautiful? Who benefits when I believe my natural body is unacceptable? What would happen if I stopped treating every change in my appearance like an emergency? And here's the big one. Can I care about my appearance without making my appearance responsible for my self-worth? That is a powerful distinction. And finally, give yourself options. If hair loss is affecting your confidence, explore options. Different hairstyles, shorter cuts, hair fibers, wigs, head coverings, like mine that I'm wearing if you're watching this, extensions when appropriate, hair pieces, color changes, or you can decide you don't want to conceal it at all. There is no feminist prize for choosing one particular response. You get to decide what makes you feel like yourself. And I want to say this clearly. Seeking treatment for hair loss is not anti-feminist. There's sometimes this weird idea that if you're a feminist, you should simply shrug and say, who cares about hair? Well, I care. You might care. And that's okay. Feminism is not about pretending physical appearance has no emotional significance. It's about questioning why women's appearance is treated as a measure of their worth. Those are two very different things. If you want treatment because having more hair makes you feel more comfortable in your body, go for it. If you want to shave your head, do it. If you want a wig, wear the fucking wig. If you want to embrace your thinning hair, rock it. If you want to experiment with a totally new look, have fun. The choice belongs to you, not your partner, not your mother, not Instagram, not society, and definitely not the patriarchy. So, what about treatment? There are legitimate medical treatments for some forms of female hair loss. For female pattern hair loss, Topical minoxidil is the most recommended and is FDA approved for women. It can help slow hair loss and stimulate regrowth, but results take time and treatment generally needs to continue to maintain benefits. Dermatologists may also consider other treatments depending on the diagnosis, including prescription medications and certain devices or procedures. Some approaches are used off-label, meaning they are approved for other medical purposes rather than specifically FDA approved for female pattern hair loss. And this is important. Talk to a qualified healthcare professional before starting treatment, especially if you're pregnant, trying to become pregnant, breastfeeding, taking medications other than what you're looking into, or dealing with other medical conditions. Because hair loss treatment is not a one-size-fits-all approach. All right, now let's zoom out and talk about the bigger feminist issue, because this episode isn't really about hair. It's about what women have been taught to believe about themselves. We've been taught that youth is valuable, that beauty is valuable, that femininity has a particular look, that desirability is something women must consistently maintain, that aging is a failure, that looking put together is a moral virtue, and that if our bodies change, we are supposed to fix them. Immediately, quietly, without complaining, and preferably before anyone notices. Well, I say, fuck that. Your body is not a renovation project. You are not a defective woman because your body changes. You are not failing because your hair thins. You are not less feminine because you lose hair. You are not less sexual. You are not less interesting. You are not less worthy. You are not becoming invisible. You are becoming a woman with a body that is changing. And that is what bodies do. And I want to put my psychotherapist hat on for this part. If hair loss is causing intense anxiety, depression, social withdrawal, avoidance, shame, obsessive checking, or significant distress, do not dismiss that. Your emotional reaction deserves care too. You can address the medical issue and the psychological impact. Maybe therapy can help you work through body image. Maybe coaching can get you the empowerment that you're looking for. Maybe cognitive behavioral strategies can help with obsessive checking. Maybe you need to process grief. Maybe you need help challenging internalized ageism. Maybe you need to rebuild your confidence around sexuality. Maybe you're dealing with a larger identity transition. There is no shame in getting support. Sometimes the bravest thing that you can say is, "This is affecting me more than I expected, and I need some help." That, ladies, is not weakness. That is self-awareness. And now, my queens, it is time for our badass affirmation of the week. Here it is. My body does not owe the world a certain appearance. I am not losing my worth when my appearance changes. I am still powerful, desirable, whole, and fucking magnificent. Say it again, slowly. My body does not owe the world a certain appearance. Your body does not owe anybody youth. Your body does not owe anybody thick hair. Your body does not owe anybody beauty. I am not losing my worth when my appearance changes. Because your worth isn't sitting in your hair follicles. It's not hiding in your reflection. It's not measured by how many compliments you receive. And it's certainly not determined by whether you fit somebody else's definition of feminine beauty. I am still powerful, desirable, whole, and fucking magnificent. Because you are a whole person. Your intelligence, your humor, your sexuality, your compassion, your courage, your creativity, your experiences, your voice, your fucking resilience, that is you. Hair is one part of you. It's not the entirety of you. And if your hair changes, you get to grieve it. You get to treat it. You get to adapt. You get to change your style. You get to wear a wig. You get to shave your head. You get to cry in the shower like I did. You get to be angry. You get to eventually decide, okay, this is my body. This is my life. And I'm still going to fucking live it. That is empowerment. Not pretending you don't care. Not pretending you're thrilled about every change. But choosing not to let the change define you. So here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. If you are experiencing hair loss, please do not shame yourself for being upset. Your feelings make sense. Hair can carry enormous psychological and cultural meaning, and women's hair loss is common enough that you absolutely are not alone. But please don't let fear make all of your decisions. Get information, get evaluated, learn what is actually happening. Explore legitimate treatment options if you want them. And take care of your mental health while you are taking care of your scalp. Most importantly, remember this. You are not your hair. You are the woman underneath it. And that woman is still there. She's still intelligent. She's still funny. She is still sexual. She's still capable. She's still powerful. She's still allowed to take up space. She's still allowed to be seen. And she is still fucking worthy. And maybe, just maybe, one of the most radical things we can do as women is learn to care for our bodies without making our bodies earn our love. That is the work. That is the rebellion. And that is where I want us to keep going. Okay, queens, here's your challenge for this week. If you are experiencing hair loss, make the appointment you've been putting off. Do not Google yourself into oblivion. Don't buy 17 supplements at 2 o'clock in the morning because an influencer told you that they changed her life. Get real information. And if you're not personally experiencing hair loss, I want you to do something else. Change the conversation. If a woman tells you she's struggling with hair loss, don't immediately say, "Oh, you can't even tell." Don't tell her she should just embrace it. Don't tell her she should buy some miracle product. Instead, say, "That sounds really difficult. How are you feeling about it?" Sometimes, what women need is not another solution. Sometimes they need someone to acknowledge that the experience is hard. That's called validation, and we all need it sometimes. And of course, if this episode resonated with you, share it with another woman who needs to hear it. Follow the Hint Hive on your favorite platform. Subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode, because you never know what I'm going to come out with next. Because here in the Hive, we are not here to tell women how they should look. We are here to remind women that they get to decide who they are. I'm Kelly Hint, your Queen Bee, reminding you to take care of yourselves, to take up space, to question the bullshit, and remember, your worth was never growing out of your scalp in the first place. See you next week.